Day of the Rope by Devon Stack. Chapter 3. It was still raining when they pulled up behind Jen. The driver, without interrupting the flow of his conversation he was having with someone on the phone in Arabic, tapped his finger on the meter in the dashboard. Ethan instantly remembered why he had started using rideshare apps. For the first time in years, he was forced to calculate a tip and awkwardly fished the cash out of his back pocket. After settling on a number, he paid the driver, who never once bothered to pause his phone conversation or give Ethan his full attention. Why would he? Ethan was just a piñata. Mohammed, the cab driver, quickly counted the money. He frowned and then made it obvious with his dirty look and by mumbling something that sounded suspiciously like an Arabic profanity into his phone that he was disappointed. The tip had been over 20%. Perhaps Mohammed wanted more because of the rain. These people always wanted more. An overwhelming rage rose up inside of Ethan. Fuck this guy. He should be kissing my ass. My people didn't build this country or invent this fucking car we're in or even the damn phone so this fucker could come here, drive like an asshole while complaining to one of his 7 underage wives on his free government phone. Is this still not enough? Now he has to talk shit about me in his goat fucking language because I didn't give him a big enough slice? He thought as his eyebrow began to twitch. The power he had been gifted. No. It was the power he had taken. That power surged again through his veins. He wanted to reach over the back seat and grab this emboldened invader by his filthy fucking beard and let him see the power up close and personal. This uninvited and ungrateful piece of shit that had mistaken him for a piñata that he used to be and had not seen what he had become. Who will be the piñata when I bash your fucking head against the meter, Mohammed? When I crack your fucking skull on the credit card machine and keep bashing and bashing until you twitch like Adam Ehrenberg twitched, he shouted inside his head. Adam Ehrenberg. No. He would continue to play the part of the piñata. He had to be smart. He averted his eyes and exited the cab without incident. The taxi sped away into the night the moment he closed the door. He watched as the headlights illuminated the falling rain, watched the glittering particles swirl and bounce as they pelted the ground. Ethan imagined it was blood pooling and flowing in the streets. Maybe that day would come. It was still raining hard, but he didn't mind. He watched as a group of young women ran squealing from their taxi to the rear entrance of the Gem. He could never understand people who seemed so afraid of a little rain, especially this time of year. For Ethan, it was refreshing to feel the droplets on his hot skin. He lingered a moment longer in the rain, allowing it to calm him. He wondered if this was the kind of weather his ancestors had evolved in. Something about it just seemed right. He stamped his feet in a nearby puddle and smiled at the splash. He didn't pass up a single opportunity to repeat the process as he playfully made his way back to the back of the bar. He leaped from puddle to puddle, stamping his feet and laughing at how juvenile it made him feel. The Gem, in many ways, was a dive bar, but it was bigger than most hangouts in the area and somewhat popular to the locals. He had been there many times before, usually trying to pick up women, but he wasn't sure why he had decided to come there tonight. It hadn't been part of the plan. The plan had been to go straight home and obsessively browse the news sites through several proxy servers until the demise of Adam Ehrenberg had been widely reported. News sites that would be watched by decentralized oracles. The same decentralized oracle that would feed the data to the smart contract and trigger his payment. He knew that would take several hours, maybe even days. He figured Ehrenberg's staff would find his body and report it to the police, but there was no telling of how long it would take to make it to the press. Ehrenberg wasn't exactly a celebrity. He owned celebrities. But most people had never heard his name, and that's how people like Ehrenberg liked it. Slightly out of season hip-hop music filled the inside of the Gem, accompanied by flashing lights coming from the corner of the bar that served as a de facto dance floor. The group of women that he had watched arriving were now gathered around the bar with their faces in their phones. The loud music drowned out their chattering until he had made his way directly behind them. "I am going to get so fucking shit-faced tonight," the Latina squealed. "You deserve it, girl," shouted the Indian friend. "I'm not even kidding," the Latina said, then swallowed a shot. "You should be celebrating," screamed the young black woman that was with them. Not long ago, this would have been music to Ethan's ears, but not anymore. Now, the sound of these babbling degenerates was repulsive. It almost made him physically ill. He wondered for a moment how many of these vapid whores were mothers with children at home. How many of them would have been mothers, but instead killed their unborn baby, so they could keep being degenerates like this. For all he knew, this is what they were celebrating. The rage he had felt in the taxi began to build. What have they done to us, he thought. This systematic dismantling of society had to be part of some greater plan. Once he saw it, it was impossible to unsee it. The evidence was everywhere. It was clear by observing the architecture of the Gem that this building hadn't always been a dive bar. The building was old, ancient by American standards. He wondered what this place used to be. He pondered whether the original occupants, now long dead and forgotten, observed the nightly degeneracy as ghosts from the dark corners of the building, trapped between worlds, damned to watch the decay, helpless to stop it. "Hey, what's your name?" "Adam." Fuck. Why did he say that? A young woman was looking up at him, smiling. She might have been pretty if it weren't for all the tattoos and piercings that covered her body. You could tell by her roots that she was blonde, but had hair dyed an unnatural shade of purple. Her eyes were blue, but dulled by alcohol. "Well, you can call me Eve. Like Adam. Like Adam and Eve, except I haven't had an apple yet." She slurred and giggled. She was obviously intoxicated to the point she was unsteady on her feet. She leaned her body up against his for support, her breast bulging out of her low-cut top. It was obvious what this girl... He couldn't believe it changed over the last few years. This was the kind of situation he used to dream. It wasn't that long ago he would be pretending that this whore was clever and putting up with her nonsense. Maybe he'd pound a few shots of something strong so she wouldn't seem so annoying. An hour after that, they'd be making out in the backseat of a cab on the way to one of their apartments. Rinse and repeat. That had been his social life since moving to D.C. All he felt now was revulsion and anger, loathing for this woman that had mutilated her body and soul. A woman who it seemed had concluded that maybe being penetrated by a stranger could validate her existence. Behind the flirtatious smile was a disgusting kind of pleading. A patheticness that in the past he would have taken full advantage of to distract himself from his own miserable existence. That is where his anger came from. Anger at himself for having been so weak, but also anger for having been so destructive to those weaker and more pathetic than himself. People like this young woman. He wanted to hate her, but he knew she was just a casualty of the war he was fighting. It was too late to save her now. She, and many like her, would have to be left behind, broken and helpless, lying in the mud and muck of the battlefield. It wasn't fair to hate her. "No thanks," he said as warmly as he could muster. "What do you mean, no thanks?" Her tone was playful as she pressed her body against his, but he could see in her eyes that she knew. He began to turn away, and for a moment he thought she might get angry and create a scene. Drunk women were hard to predict, especially after being publicly humiliated. Not that anyone had really been paying attention to their interaction. "I wasn't going to fuck you." Her tone was annoyed. The embarrassment of his rejection was setting in. And now she was trying to salvage the appearance of pride. He turned and looked her right in the eyes and said, "Yes, you were." She was stunned by his forwardness. Her mouth opened and closed slowly as her brain struggled to find the right thing to say in the situation that, as far as she could remember in her drunken haze, had never been faced with before. She sensed that, more than anything, he was disappointed in her. And for reasons she didn't understand, she felt intensely ashamed because of this. "I'm going to leave now," he said, no longer hiding his disgust, as he turned towards the door to the gem. A tear rolled down her cheek as she watched him walk away. Why did she always get so emotional when she drank? She was hit with an inexplicable yet overwhelming sense of loss as Adam walked out of the front entrance to the gem. What the hell was wrong with her? What the hell was wrong with him? She experienced a moment of clarity, a moment of profound regret. The world didn't seem right to her anymore. "What's wrong, baby girl?" said a muscular, well-dressed black man that had been watching her all evening. and had apparently smelled blood in the water. He must have decided to swoop in and make his move in her moment of vulnerability. "Fuck off," she said dismissively. She didn't really have anything against him. He wasn't particularly bad looking or anything. She had just seen him before, and she didn't like how aggressive and pushy he was with women. Most women were intimidated by his tactics, and quite frankly, so were the men. Eve wondered if Adam was the kind of man that would intervene. She imagined he was, not like most men these days seem to. So feeble. "Aw, why you gotta be like that? Come on, girl, let me buy you a drink," the well-dressed black man said, putting his arm around her. "I said fuck off," she shrieked astonishingly loud, and almost everyone in the bar turned their heads to look at them. The well-dressed black man looked annoyed, but then his demeanor became artificially disarming, and he raised his hands up. "It's cool, it's cool." Turning on his heel, he shouted, "Fucking racist bitch," and walked back to the bar. Eve tried not to pay attention to him. She was looking at the door of the bar where Adam had exited just moments before. She couldn't shake this feeling that she had thrown away an opportunity of a lifetime. There was a sense of real dread building up inside of her, and she began to get nervous that she was going to have a panic attack. Maybe, because of the abuse she had just suffered at the hands of Adam, she had been racist. She would text Stacy. That's what she would do. Stacy was always willing to put up with her bullshit and take her off the ledge. She sat down at an empty table and began to rummage through her purse for her phone. Along with some makeup containers and feminine hygiene products, a white pill rolled out of her bag and onto the table. Was that a Percocet? She examined the sizable white pill briefly, then discreetly popped it into her mouth, swallowing it dry. She couldn't remember where she had left her drink. She removed her phone from inside her purse, and after skimming through the notifications that she had missed, mostly social media spam, she unlocked it and texted Stacy. "Eve. Hey, where are you?" Stacy. "At home playing mommy like usual. What's up?" Eve. "I don't know. I think I'm going to have a panic attack." "Oh no, why?" "I don't know. I met Guy." "Oh, why panic then?" "Okay. Didn't really meet him. I'm kind of drunk. Do you think I'm racist?" "Are you okay?" "How did you and Tom meet?" On the internet." "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm going to go home, I think. Feeling sad." "Well, I'd invite you over if it wasn't for the kids. I have to get them to bed. Let's do lunch tomorrow, yeah?" "Okay. XOXO. Be safe. XOXO." End of chapter 2. Correction. End of chapter 3. Damn it. Alright, well, it was a short one.